Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and this is Ask the Rabbi. Our question today is about the way God is depicted in the Bible. He's sometimes described with very human emotions and even body parts. We talk about God's strong hand, an outstretched arm taking the Israelites out of Egypt. The Torah says that God becomes angry. Is any of this literally true? I'm going to take quite a strict Maimonidean approach, the approach of Moses Maimonides, who lived in the 12th and 13th century. And he would argue that all of these anthropomorphic, these human-like attributions to God are merely a way of expressing in language which we can understand ideas which the Torah wants to convey, but are not literally true. So when we want to talk about God's taking action, we talk about his strong hand and his outstretched arm. He doesn't actually have an arm or a hand, but that's the way that we as human beings can relate to the concept of God acting with great power and precision and determination. There is a principle that the Torah speaks in the language of human beings. If it spoke in purely abstract philosophical language, such as you would see in a philosophical paper today in an academic journal, then it wouldn't be accessible, it wouldn't be religiously inspiring. And therefore, the Torah uses language which we can relate to, which we can understand and which resonates with us. What about attributions of emotion? Again, God has no emotions. He doesn't feel anger, he doesn't feel pain, he doesn't feel distress or worry. However, sometimes God acts in a way which, if a human were to behave in the same way, would imply that they did have those feelings of anger. And that's what the Torah means. When it says that God was angry with the Jewish people, it doesn't mean he really was angry. It simply means that he felt it was appropriate to act in a certain way to punish the people, which if a human being were to act in the same way would imply anger. But God, in fact, does not experience anger. He doesn't feel anger because he is beyond and above emotions. I should add that I've been using the male pronoun throughout this discussion. I've been saying he for God, but of course the same is true. Just as God has no body parts and God has no emotions, God also has no gender. And so we say he only as a matter of convention, although more and more people are moving to a very strict approach where they refer to God as God and never use a pronoun at all. That has not become widely accepted, at least not yet, but we should always remind ourselves that when we say things like he, as well as saying things like God or hand, we are only speaking in human terms and not truly describing what God is. Thanks for joining.